Breaking news, a Wake County middle school dismissing early after reports of a bomb threat on campus. What we're learning at this hour from the scene.
Child welfare violations. A child care operator is charged with failing to report the death of a child. The allegations against her and what's next in her case.
Another nice day today, but our temperature roller coaster continues. Why we could see patchy frost in the morning and 80s by the weekend.
And breaking news within the hour, students are being dismissed from Lufkin Road Middle School in Apex following a bomb threat. Hello, everyone. I'm Renee Chu.
And I'm Chris Levingood. Thank you so much for staying with us here. Let's go ahead and go over to WRAL's Laura Levine in the Live Center right now. What are we learning so far at this hour, Laura?
Yeah, Chris, Renee, a pretty scary morning for families impacted with students there at Lufkin Middle School there in Apex. I want to go ahead and show you this Sky 5 video flying over the scene where we could see investigators searching the school, but we could also see students really being spread out in a field, likely grouped by classroom or by grade level. This morning, families they received an alert from the school saying we received a bomb threat to our school via phone call. We immediately contacted Wake County Public School security and law enforcement and evacuated students and staff to our football field. Right now, law enforcement is again currently searching the campus. Parents who wish to pick their students up at this time, they can. However, school buses will be arriving at the school for early dismissal. This is a story that we continue to track as we try to learn more about this threat that came into the school.
Laura, thank you. Another story we are tracking right now. A Wake County woman is under arrest for failing to report the death of a child.
Well, investigators also say that Tamika Fowler also operated an unlicensed child care facility. And WRAL's Sean Gallagher is live in Wendell for this story. Sean, what do we know so far about this case?
Well, Chris, right now we know Wendell police are charging Fowler for running that unlicensed daycare facility, and these charges all stem from incidents that date back to about 2 years ago. 47-year-old Tamika Fowler right now facing 5 misdemeanor charges in total. That includes 3 child welfare violations and also includes that failure to notify the Department of Health and Human Services within 24 hours about the death of a child on December 5th, 2024. It also includes 2 misdemeanor charges of running an unlicensed child care facility, indicating she was caring for more than 5 children, including her own preschool-age children, and failing to maintain records of the facility. Now, Fowler was issued a $10,000 bond, and she is due in court for the first time in early May. In Wendell, Sean Gallagher, WRAL News.
Story that you saw first on WRAL. Durham police say a burned vehicle found this morning on Nation Avenue was actually stolen. Officers say it's connected to some break-ins that happened in Durham and Orange counties at vehicles. The Comfort Inn off Mount Moriah Road was one of the areas hit, and nearly a dozen vehicles had shattered windows. But no word on suspects or arrests at this hour.
In typical spring fashion, we have some big temperature swings ahead. Let's give you a live look right now at Fenton in Cary, and we have lots of sunshine out there, but we will still fall short of our normal high of 70 degrees at this time. We'll be staying in the 60s. Meteorologist Amy Wilmish shows us how cold it will get tonight before we warm way back up again for the weekend. Amy.
Big temperature swings. We get down to 38 tonight. We made it down to 39 this morning in Raleigh, but we had some winds that kept us from seeing any frost, which was good. And then Saturday, check this out, up to 82 degrees in the afternoon. So cold tonight, but we are warming it back up as we head toward the weekend. It is cool. Renee mentioned outside. It is definitely on the cooler side. 54 degrees right now in Raleigh and in Rocky Mount. It's 55 degrees right now in Fayetteville. We have wind gusts at 19 miles per hour in Fayetteville, 23 mile per hour gusts in Rocky Mount. So it is a bit breezy right now, but those winds will settle down overnight tonight. After school practices today, temperatures stay pretty comfortable for those. We'll be in the low 60s through about 6 o'clock this evening and then back down into the upper 50s at 7 o'clock tonight. Because the wind settles down tonight, we do have a little bit higher of a frost threat tonight. So if you're in any of these regions in blue or the pink purple color, you have the threat for frost tonight. So go ahead and cover up those tender plants or bring them indoors if you have that as an option as well. Here's a look at the town by town lows tonight, down to 34 in Roxborough, 36 tonight in South Hill, 34 in Roanoke Rapids, 38 in Raleigh, 39 in Fayetteville. So it's going to be another cold start to the day tomorrow. The southerly wind returns for the weekend. We'll take a closer look at the weekend forecast coming up.
All right, thank you, Amy. Well, right now, protesters have gathered in front of the state legislative building to highlight what they're calling an education crisis in North Carolina public schools. And this is happening as lawmakers still have not passed the state budget. We find WRAL's Heidi Kirk there right now, live in front of that protest in downtown Raleigh. Heidi, I see them behind you there, those protesters. So what do they want specifically from state lawmakers?
Well, Chris, overall, their message is really clear. You can see the protesters back here. They're directing their attention right here to the General Assembly, asking state lawmakers to pass a budget that focuses on education. And take a look back over this way. We've still got some protesters gathered out here. You can see the messages that they want to share on some of the signs that they're carrying. Now, some of these people have been gathering here on the first Wednesday of every single month since January to send that message to legislators. They call the advancements made by the General Assembly to move forward with tax cuts while failing to pass a budget detrimental to educators and students across the state. Now, it also comes days after the Supreme Court's dismissal of a landmark lawsuit against the state over education. We've been talking about that. That's called the Leandro case. Now, protesters say all of those factors have led to the clear message that they are sending out here today.
The key message that we want to relay is that our students need funding in our public schools. They need resources. Our school districts need to be able to hire more qualified staff, from the classroom teacher to the bus driver, in order to make sure that our students continue to be on the road for academic success. We cannot continue to rank 50th in funding effort in North Carolina with fewer resources.
And that is a message that we heard over and over today. They cannot continue to rank 50th. You know, she's not only a teacher, but also a parent. She says those two things drove her here today. Now, we've also reached out to a number of lawmakers as they go back and forth over budget negotiations. We'll have their response coming up later if we get that. Heidi Kirk, WRAL News, live in downtown Raleigh.
And we are keeping it in downtown Raleigh. Today, members of the 9 historically black sororities and fraternities are gathered in downtown for Legislative Day. The event is a chance for members of what's called the Divine Nine to join together and speak directly to lawmakers about the issues shaping their communities. This year, organizers say those issues include environmental justice and funding for public education, especially after the state Supreme Court's ruling that ended the long-running lawsuit known as Leandro.
We think that's a grave misjustice, and the individuals in the General Assembly, they have a responsibility to properly educate every single student in North Carolina, rural or urban, so that's top of mind.
This is the 11th year of the annual event. Jesse Jackson Jr. is this year's keynote speaker.
Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth says the United States has, quote, done its part in Iran, at least for now. And he made that statement less than 24 hours after our country and Iran entered a 2-week ceasefire agreement. WRAL's Ken Smith is here to dive a little bit deeper into this. Ken, give our viewers a rundown of what was discussed during this morning's press briefing at the Pentagon.
You know, Chris, this morning's briefing was again a detailed account of the days and weeks leading up to last night's ceasefire agreement. Now, a key component of this agreement is the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. But just in the last half hour, Iranian media reporting all tanker traffic through that key waterway was stopped after Israel attacked Lebanon overnight. Iranian media also reporting just 2 tankers got through since this agreement was announced. Now, that said, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and Joint Chiefs Chairman General Dan Kane insist the U.S. now has the upper hand on this war with Iran.
Since the beginning of major combat operations, the United States Joint Force has struck more than 13,000 targets, including in that 13,000 more than 4,000 dynamic targets that popped up on the battlefield and were immediately addressed.
We're going to make sure Iran complies with this ceasefire and then ultimately comes to the table and makes a deal. So we'll stay put, stay ready, stay vigilant, as the chairman laid out. Our troops are prepared to defend, prepared to go on offense, prepared to restart at a moment's notice.
We just mentioned, despite the ceasefire agreement, missile strikes were reported in Israel and all across the Gulf region. Israel is also part of this agreement, but says Lebanon is not included. Now, during this 2-week pause in attacks, Israel, Iran, and the U.S. are expected to negotiate a permanent end to this war. Pakistan inviting negotiations to begin in Pakistan this Friday with all 3 nations.
And with that said, Ken, here in the Live Center, Pakistan's prime minister now speaking out, saying that ceasefire violations have been reported in several areas in the conflict zone, really undermining the peace process. Here's his statement here. He says, I earnestly and sincerely urge all parties to exercise restraint and respect the ceasefire for 2 weeks as agreed upon. Meanwhile, we know Pakistan has emerged as an important mediator in the conflict. Iran also speaking out today, saying that it will withdraw from the U.S. ceasefire agreement if Israel continues to attack Lebanon.
And breaking news we're following within the last hour, we learned that the man accused in the Gilgo Beach serial murders pleaded guilty. 62-year-old Rex Heuermann pleaded guilty to the murders of 8 women whose remains he discarded over 3 decades. He previously pleaded not guilty to 4 of those murders, including North Carolina native Amber Costello. The charges carry a sentence of life in prison without parole. And today, a federal judge is expected to sentence the so-called ketamine queen for her role in the death of Matthew Perry. The actor was found dead in his hot tub back in October 2023. A year later, Jasveen Sangha pleaded guilty to providing the ketamine that led to his death. And federal prosecutors are asking for a sentence of 15 years, but her attorneys are asking the judge to impose a sentence of time served.
You can now get NC Quick Passes at all Publix grocery stores in North Carolina. Quick Passes are scanned as you pass through a toll. Your account is billed automatically, and the pass also gives drivers a 50% discount on tolls.
And happening now here in the WRAL Live Center, this is a story you will not believe it until you see it. Take a look at this video. A little boy had to be rescued from a 40-foot tall pine tree here today in Cary. There you can see firefighters on the ladder escorting him down. This happened in the last 20 minutes. A pretty scary situation because when this report came in about the little boy stuck in this tree, they said that the pine tree was swaying. The wind was pretty strong in this area. And so, of course, they had a lot of urgency. It's not clear right now how long he was stuck in the tree, but again, firefighters were able to get him down in the last 15 minutes. This all happening at Laurel Park Elementary School. And when they were able to get him down to the ground to safety, well, the firefighters, they gave him a nice fist pump.
Goodness.
Glad it all ended safely, but certainly his tree climbing skills very impressive. Next at noon, deep space photo shoot. A look at some of the new stunning images from the Artemis 2 mission.
Plus, Eiffel Tower auction. No, not the whole thing. Silly, just a part of it. How much a section could go for and the history behind it.
Bedtime stacking. Hear why more people are starting to do it to change up their routine before sleep.
Coming up next, sea storms moving in with WRAL's exclusive Dual Doppler 5000, sponsored by the WRAL Weather app. Download now for live radar.
Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates is expected to appear before the House Oversight Committee next month to answer questions about convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. A Republican chairman says the committee believes Gates has information that will help in the investigation. Gates has reportedly apologized for his ties to Epstein and admitted to having affairs with a Russian bridge player and a Russian nuclear physicist. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick is set to appear on May 6th. MyPillow founder and Trump ally Mike Lindell faces a hefty fine for not paying a $50,000 judgment in a defamation lawsuit. Lindell was one of the leading promoters of false 2020 election fraud claims. The voting machine company Smartmatic sued and won more than $50,000. However, Lindell has not paid the judgment. He now faces a fine of $500 for every day he fails to pay the ballot company.
NASA's Orion spacecraft is headed back to Earth after the historic journey into deep space. And today, we're getting a look at some of the awesome images from the Artemis 2 flyby. Tom Costello shares views from the far side of the moon.
With the Orion capsule now on a steady coast back to Earth, the crew's first flyby photos are giving all of us back here a spectacular sampling of their record-setting trip. From the crystal clear captures of lunar craters to our own home planet setting behind the moon, a jaw-dropping perspective. Perhaps the most stunning, that 53-minute solar eclipse with the sun's corona lighting up the entire outline of the moon.
No matter how long we look at this, our brains are not processing this image in front of us. It is absolutely spectacular.
Science crews back on Earth eager to dig into the first human observations of the far side of the moon in more than half a century, including the unexpected colors the crew saw, which could help determine focal points for future missions.
This is how we start to really bite away at these really fundamental science questions that impact not just our understanding of the moon, but how our own planet has evolved over time.
And with the moon now in Orion's rearview mirror,
It's just so awesome being able to talk to you right now.
the Artemis crew on Tuesday got to speak with their fellow space explorers on the space station.
It takes the entire world to do amazing things like this, and to get to come together as this group of people and talk for just a minute at these distances.
For now, NASA focused on getting the 4 members of Orion safely back on solid ground.
I'll breathe easier when we get through re-entry and everybody's under chutes and in the water.
Our top priority is to ensure that when Integrity and her crew of 4 splash down, that we have the recovery forces right nearby to help get them out.
Even as they look down the line at return missions to the moon and beyond.
During the eclipse, and they were looking at the planets that could be seen. One of them looks kind of red, and Kelsey's observation was, that's Mars, you're looking at your future.
And we have had round-the-clock coverage of that historic mission on the WRAL YouTube channel, actually since launch day. And we have a live stream of the mission that will stay up until the team returns home.
A piece of the Eiffel Tower's original staircase is going up for auction next month. The spiral section connected the second and third floors of the tower when it opened back in 1889. 20 sections were sold off in 1983, and the majority of those remain in the possession of their original buyers. This section is expected to fetch somewhere between $140,000 and $175,000 US dollars. Oat Trail fire are under an evacuation warning. The Boulder communities went door to door notifying residents. The fire was 75% contained this morning, but crews will continue to work on the fire throughout the day to make sure it doesn't spread due to strong winds that are expected later today. Meanwhile, here in our part of the Triangle, we're seeing breezy conditions, lots of sunshine, though. And Amy, although it is just beautiful out there, it is so dry, and we really could use some rain.
Absolutely. And in the next half hour, we're going to talk more about when that might be. It's not going to be for quite some time. And that's all because of this area of high pressure that's just parked itself over the eastern part of the country. And what it's doing is it's blocking all of these weather systems from getting to our area. So it is going to stay dry. We are still in a burn ban, so please do not do outdoor burning, especially today with the winds gusty. This is a live look at Durham right now. We have a little bit of high cloud cover, but also some blue sky as well. It is a bit breezy outside. Currently, we have gusts 20 to 25 miles per hour. This is a look at the maximum gusts since midnight. So the highest gust in Raleigh, 26, 28 in Rocky Mount. So definitely a breezy day out there today, kind of blowing the pollen around. The tree pollen is higher today compared to yesterday. Oak, pine, cottonwood, and birch all in the high category for today. I would expect it to stay high, especially as we head toward the end of the week when temperatures really start to warm up. We do have some sunshine out there, but temperatures are on the cooler side. It's 56 in Clinton right now, 54 in Rocky Mount, 54 in Raleigh with some high clouds. It's 55 in Southern Pines. Temperatures should climb into the low 60s for most of us today. 61 for the high in Raleigh. The normal high this time of year is 70. So we're below the normal for this time of year. We'll stay in the 50s through about 10 o'clock, and then we're back down into the upper 40s. We do have the chance for some frost again overnight tonight. The winds are going to settle down. The winds really saved us from seeing some frost this morning. They'll settle down tonight. We will have some clouds around, so that could limit the frost potential for tomorrow morning. But go ahead and protect any tender plants that you have before you go to bed tonight. This is the coldest morning in the next several days, and then still chilly Friday morning, but notice how these morning lows go into the upper 50s by Monday. So those numbers are going to start to climb. Same with our afternoon highs. Again, the normal is 70. Today we stay below that at 61. We get pretty close Thursday, 69. And then we jump into the upper 70s Friday. Check out the weekend. High temperatures are back in the low 80s. So some pretty big temperature swings, which is very normal for our area during spring. So look at the weekend forecast. Partly cloudy skies Saturday. The UV index will be moderate at 5. And then on Sunday, partly cloudy. The UV index will be high at 7. So both days, just go ahead and make sure you have the sunscreen on. We have to get in that habit now that we're starting to see that UV index climb. Staying pretty mild over the next couple of days. And then Friday, sunny with a high of 77. So a pretty nice start to the weekend. A little bit of cloud cover this weekend, highs in the low 80s. Notice Monday and Tuesday still warm. Notice also no rain chance. It stays dry. I'll talk more about when we could finally get some measurable rain in the next half hour.
It is quite the dry streak. All right, Amy, thank you. Coming up this afternoon at 4, recall alert. More than 270,000 cars are being pulled off the road due to an increased risk of crashes. 5 on your side looks into the issue with Chevy Malibus.
And then at 5, jumping into action. After seeing smoke and flames, a neighbor charged into danger. We hear why he decided to step in and help.
The Trump administration has rejected requests from Ford for relief from aluminum tariffs. The automaker petitioned the government last week after a fire at a supplier's factory created a bottleneck. That company supplies materials to make the F-150 pickup. The supplier has been making up for lost production with aluminum from overseas, but those imports are subject to a 50% tariff.
Well, just like hotels or restaurants on land, cruise ships are subject to health inspections. And it turns out there were several ships that earned perfect sanitation scores last year from the CDC. The examination covers a range of onboard facilities and operations, from galleys to swimming pools, even pest management. Vessels must receive scores of 86 or higher to be considered satisfactory, but some earn well beyond this. And the top scores of 2025 went to Brilliant Lady with Virgin Voyages, Carnival's Breeze and Luminosa ships, and Apex and Eclipse with Celebrity Cruises.
American Girl is celebrating its 40th anniversary with some familiar faces. Mattel is bringing back 8 of its historical character dolls. The 18-inch dolls include Kit Kitteridge, Addie Walker, and more iconic characters. Each doll is crafted to be as close as possible to the original offerings from the 80s, including outfits and packaging. Each doll, by the way, retails for $175.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's an expensive doll. Your time now is 12:25, and we're covering some breaking news right now. Early dismissal today for students at Lufkin Road Middle due to a bomb threat. We have an update from the WRAL Live Center, and that is coming up next at 12:30.
Sabotaging sleep. Some take a variety of items to bed to make them drowsy, but the practice could actually have the opposite effect. And here's a look at your winning North Carolina Education Lottery numbers.
Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
We're staying on top of some breaking news right now. An update that we first reported at the top of the hour. Students are being dismissed from Lufkin Road Middle School in Apex, and this is because of a bomb threat.
Let's get to Laura Levine, who's following the story from the WRAL Live Center with what's new in the last 30 minutes. Laura.
Yeah, Chris, Renee, parents are beginning to pick their students up here from Lufkin Road Middle School. You can see Sky 5 still over the scene as investigators continue to search the campus. Those students here spread out in the football field. But I want to show you a different vantage point here. Sky 5 also flew over the carpool line as well, where we're really beginning to see a traffic jam. You can see the long line of cars really wrapping around the school as parents are trying to get their kids with this early dismissal. This is worth noting as well, that WRAL's Flynn Snyder was heading to the scene, and they actually got stuck in this traffic jam too. So we also have photojournalist Josie there at the scene with her camera up, giving us another vantage point of just what parents and teachers and students are dealing with at this time. Of course, all of this comes as that bomb threat was reported early this morning. The school said they got the threat via a phone call today, and then they immediately contacted Wake County Public School Security and law enforcement. So of course, school buses buses will be picking students up, but not until they are able to get parents through this carpool line. So it's just something to keep in mind, too, if you're traveling within this area and you see this huge police presence. Be mindful as this early dismissal is still underway.
Very important information for parents. Thank you, Laura. A series of car break-ins this morning in Durham and Orange counties led to at least one car being set on fire. WRAL's Ali Kalabar tells us a little bit more about the cars she saw that were broken into this morning.
I counted at least 11 cars. We're learning that there's even more. And I spoke with two couples who were actually staying here at the Comfort Inn. When they woke up, they found that their cars had been broken into in this parking lot. And Durham police say that this is likely connected to an abandoned stolen vehicle about 4 miles away. And this video from the WRAL breaking news tracker shows that stolen car that caught on fire. It was at the intersection of Bedford Street and Nation Avenue. Police on scene tell me when they got there, the suspect was not on scene. Durham police say the suspect is connected to vehicle break-ins in Durham and Orange counties. We found several cars broken into at the Comfort Inn off Mount Moriah Road. You can see the windows shattered, even some belongings outside of the cars. We spoke with a couple who was traveling in for a doctor's appointment. They say that a gold necklace was stolen out of their car.
They said 13 cars and more were broken into. And I hope they get the guy, whoever this what did this right here. Now I got to ride in the cold this morning to my doctor appointment.
And we are working to find out if that suspect has been caught. We're also working to find out how many other areas may have been targeted. We are staying on top of this story. Reporting in Durham County, Ali Kalabar, WRAL News.
Investigators say a man is hurt because of a shooting this morning in Durham, and that happened around 2:30 a.m. on Danube Lane. The WRAL breaking news tracker was there as officers investigated, and police say the man who was shot is expected to live.
Today, people in Wake County can give their feedback on the school superintendent's budget plan. This comes after Superintendent Robert Taylor laid out plans for more than $5 million in budget cuts. More than 100 people rallied outside yesterday's school board meeting, calling for more support for special education. The superintendent later dropped that proposal to cut special education. That is off the table. Now he is proposing cuts for things like transportation and elementary literacy coaches. If you can't make tonight's meeting at 6 o'clock, you'll have another chance to share your thoughts next Wednesday at Wakefield Middle School.
Drivers could soon see gas prices start to go down. And WRAL's Kirsten Clark gives us a better look at the prices you're seeing today and when those changes could happen.
The price of gas here at this Valero gas station in Cary is well above $4. It's nearly $4.15 per regular gallon of gas. The Trump administration has said that drivers will immediately see relief at the pump once the fighting stops and the Strait of Hormuz reopens. But experts say it'll likely be days before we see some relief. Marquis Truesdale says he's seen a major change on the amount he spends on gas lately.
$30 a couple weeks ago would have got me a full tank. So now it's like lower, being that the gases went up. You just have to know how to budget now. You have to know how to set boundaries and cut off extra spending.
Following President Trump's ceasefire announcement, Patrick DeHaan with Gas Buddies said gas prices could start reversing nationally in 48 hours or so by a few cents every day. The national average of gas could fall below $4 in about 1 to 2 weeks. Diesel prices may lag slightly behind, falling below $5 in about 6 to 8 weeks. DeHaan added that these levels are tentative based on current markets, and he says changes are highly likely as the situation unfolds. As for Truesdale, he's skeptical about those possible changes.
I'm a little weary. I might still keep my money budgeted, but, at least I'll have some extra money to save.
We, of course, will keep you updated on any changes, and you can use the WRAL Fuel Tracker to find the lowest gas prices wherever you go. Just use the WRAL News app and search fuel. In Cary, Kirsten Clark, WRAL News.
Again, find those low prices wherever you are by using that app.
New research is warning about the potential impact of job losses caused by AI. A report by Goldman Sachs economists found that AI-driven unemployment could cause years-long ripple effects. It means workers make less money over the long term if they spent some time out of work. Some could experience delays to owning a home and even lower marriage rates. Those outcomes will be even more severe if they happen during a recession. Goldman Sachs previously estimated that 6 to 7% of the U.S. workforce could have their jobs displaced by AI. That's 11 million people facing potential unemployment. Layoffs are hitting another Hollywood giant. Sony Pictures Entertainment is cutting jobs all around the world. The cuts will impact film, television, and corporate divisions as part of a restructuring. The studio's new chief executive said in a note to workers that resources are being moved away from slow growth departments to focus on core franchises and reach younger audiences. The company employs roughly 12,000 people across the globe.
Well, we're also talking about preparing for bedtime. We're going to show you the social media trend happening right now that takes the pre-bedtime routine to a whole new level and why sleep experts are kind of concerned about this.
And we'll introduce you to our Teacher of the Week, whose mantra of grit and gratitude equals success. Our team is working to bring you exclusive stories for coverage you'll find only on WRAL. Go to WRAL.com and search only.
Our Teacher of the Week knew from a very young age she wanted a career in education. WRAL's Ken Smith recognizes a teacher now using her Teach for America experience to nurture and engage her students at Alston Ridge Elementary School in Wake County.
Okay, my friends, are we ready to do math? Reese, are you ready to do math?
Madison Parker's classroom at Alston Ridge Elementary is colorful, comfortable, and a perfect learning environment for her students.
99, 100, yay!
Accomplishments always celebrated in this classroom where success isn't measured by grades, but rather grit and gratitude.
I think it's getting kids and looking at how we can differentiate learning and how we can make learning accessible to every single child, because that's what it's all about.
What does it equal, Michael? 5.
Miss Parker's actually carrying on a family legacy of nurturing young children that dates back to her own childhood.
When I was 5 years old, my aunt was the autism teacher at my elementary school. And so for kindergarten and first grade, I spent a lot of my time in her class. And so when I was 5, I said I wanted to teach special education, but specifically kids with autism.
Ms. Parker says making sure her students feel like they are part of the school community is enough to put a song in her heart every day.
But I think the best thing for me is getting to see kids make friends when they're out in the general education environment, and those friends sustain them from when they're in my class in kindergarten all the way up to 5th grade.
Ms. Parker.
It's time to clean up. Oh.
You are WRAL's Teacher of the Week. Congratulations.
Yay, congrats, Ms. Parker. And hey, if you would like to nominate a teacher who you know deserving of it, go to WRAL.com and enter Teacher of the Week in the search box.
Bedtime stacking. The trend allows people to achieve as much as they can from one spot, the bed. Why sleep experts say taking a mix of items to bed could end up sabotaging your rest. And making his mark. At just 6 years old, this student is displaying exceptional talent. How he could move forward in a national art contest.
Happening now here in the WRAL Live Center, we have an update on that shooting that happened on Windy Hill Drive. Raleigh police telling us that 26-year-old Sincere Lewis has been arrested. Here's a look from that scene of the investigation. This arrest came in partnership with State Highway Patrol. They say that State Highway Patrol actually found the vehicle of interest in regarding this investigation. They made a traffic stop, and then that's where they found Sincere Lewis. He has been charged with assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill and discharging a firearm into an occupied vehicle. A woman was shot in the leg and the head, but she is expected to be okay.
Laura, thank you. A pre-sleep routine called bedtime stacking is gaining traction. Videos on social media show people doing everything from reading to snacking, even skincare in bed. Mandy Gaither explains why this could potentially lead to insomnia.
It's the place where your body's battery is recharged. Your bed helps you catch those Z's, but a social media trend called bedtime stacking has some using it for more than just sleep.
You spend a lot of time in your bed, some of which you're trying to be productive, and that's not productive for going to sleep.
Dr. Brian Chen with the Cleveland Clinic Sleep Disorder Center says bedtime stacking means you bring everything you need to get ready for bed to the bed. That could include beauty and skincare products, books, snacks, a journal, water bottle, or a laptop. This sleep habit is supposed to help a person get things done while allowing them to wind down and relax.
The sacrifice you're making is not perhaps going to sleep as fast as you could. So that could result in you getting less sleep, being more tired the next day.
Chin says bedtime stacking isn't all bad, especially if you need to be better organized or develop a step-by-step bedtime routine. But he says to think through what is in your stack and take away the things that may impact sleep.
This comes down to the tried and true, which is having a good routine and trying to activate that routine at the right times.
For those who struggle with insomnia, Chin says bedtime stacking should be avoided. Instead, he says to create a separate area where you wind down.
Where you become drowsy should be outside of your bed, and in your bed, you just sleep.
Okay, the only bedtime stacking I do is having a stack of books next to my bed, trying to read and get through and wind down that way. Gaither reports that Dr. Chen says the best ways to get good sleep are to focus on maintaining a sleep schedule. Go to bed and wake up around the same time every day, including weekends. Whew, that's tough. He also recommends avoiding caffeine, big meals, and alcohol before bed.
Okay, but I'm still going to stream Netflix. But all right, doctors, thank you. Anyway, visitors can now see Times Square from a new perspective. The 360-degree wraparound viewing deck gives people breathtaking views of one of New York's most iconic landmarks. Admission includes the glass elevator ride, access to 360-degree of the skywalk, I should say, and a glass walkway 19 floors above Times Square. Tickets start at $30. New York City residents get a $5 discount. Now, Amy, we know you were up late last night before going to bed, typing in your forecast, going warm front, cold front, warm front, cold front. Looking right now, again, the second driest year to date on record. Goodness, that are you?
We need rain so bad.
We do.
And we just don't have any in the forecast, which is, unfortunate.
Come, rain, come.
I know. We need to do the rain dance. It's getting pretty desperate here. We'll get another drought monitor tomorrow morning, and we'll be sure to share that with you. But I have a feeling it will look a little bit worse than last week, even though we had some rain on Sunday. So, yeah, second driest year to date on record. A bunch of zeros for our percentages for rain chances for the next 7 days. And the reason for this is because of the jet stream pattern and a ridge of high pressure that's stuck over the eastern part of the country. We're included in that ridge of high pressure. And so all of these storm systems are going to follow the jet stream, and they're going to go all the way around us because we have that area of high pressure that just acts like a big wall across our area, keeping the rain out of here all across North Carolina. This is rainfall potential for the next 7 days. So again, no rain anytime soon, at least for the next 7 days. And take a look at the drought status. So the entire state of North Carolina is under a drought right now. We do not have an exceptional drought, but we do have some parts of North Carolina in the extreme drought. Parts of Georgia and Florida do have the exceptional drought. So they're in desperate need of rain too, but they don't have any rain in the forecast for the next week. So the drought really looking pretty bad across the eastern part of the country, especially the southeastern part of our country. So when could we maybe get some more measurable rain? The American model is pointing to next Thursday, so over a week away. The European model is pointing to next Friday. So let's all keep our fingers crossed that at least by the end of next week we'll get something. It'll help our gardens, it'll help our lawns as well, and it'll help to wash some of the pollen out of the air. But this is a beautiful look at the WRAL gardens. Some folks have been walking around. Looks like somebody is over there maybe taking a little nap as well. It's a beautiful spot to be. It's a little breezy right now. We have wind gusts anywhere from about 20 to 25 miles per hour in parts of the viewing area. So a little bit breezy out there today, and it's cool. Temperatures are still in the 50s. 54 in Durham, it's 54 in Cary right now, 54 in Garner, and 55 in Fayetteville. Hour by hour for the rest of the day, temperatures will climb a little bit, but it's going to stay fairly cool with highs in the low 60s this afternoon. And then once the sun sets, temperatures temperatures are going to drop, and we'll be back down into the low 30s at 1 o'clock in the morning. It is going to be a chilly night tonight. Patchy frost is possible, especially in the northwestern half of our viewing area. Temperatures are expected to get down into the mid to upper 30s overnight tonight. The wind's going to settle down, so I do think the frost threat is a little bit higher overnight tonight compared to what we had yesterday. And then we are looking at a warm up for the weekend. High temperatures are back in the low 80s Saturday and Sunday, and we'll continue the 80s into Monday and Tuesday as well. We'll be right back with our top stories.
As we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines we're following today. Lufkin Middle School is dismissing early after a bomb threat. School officials say they received a threatening phone call this morning and immediately contacted Wake County School Security and law enforcement. They say law enforcement is currently searching the campus, and it will take at least 2 hours, so they are dismissing students. Parents picking up their child should bring an ID and follow carpool procedures. Bus riders will be dismissed as soon as carpool pickup finishes.
Durham police say a burned vehicle found this morning on Nation Avenue was stolen, and officers say it's connected to several car break-ins in Durham and Orange counties. The Comfort Inn off Mount Moriah Road was actually one of the areas hit, and nearly a dozen vehicles there had shattered windows. But no word on suspects or arrests at this hour.
Firefighters rescued a child from a tree at Laurel Park Elementary School in Cary. Sky 5 captured the moment a firefighter brought the child to safety down the truck's ladder. We are working to learn more about how the child got up in the tree.
A 6-year-old artist from Maine is getting national attention through America's Most Artistic Kid. Avery Brown is now a quarterfinalist in the program presented by Bob Ross Incorporated. Avery Brown started painting when he was just 3 years old. And look at this right here. That's when he started watching Bob Ross with his grandmother. Probably started with titanium white, as Bob Ross would say. Brown says that his love of art comes down to his love of mountains, grass, the sky, and I assume happy little trees. His talent inspired everyone around him, including his teachers.
The perspective that he has to bring is so adult-like. It's so far more experienced. So the fact that he has that unique quality was it was amazing to see.
Avery is just one of the nicest students I've ever met. It is fascinating to see how he's able to relax himself and to complete these beautiful pieces of artwork.
Look at him, a little kid painting, not using AI. How about that? Well, voting for semifinalists ends tomorrow, and one winner will have their artwork in a museum, appearing on a special episode of The Joy of Painting, and take home $20,000. Funds raised benefit Blood Cancer United.
I would frame those paintings and put them up in my house.
Absolutely.
I would buy those paintings. Well done, Avery. Our pet of the day from Cat Angels Pet Adoptions is a perfect mix of playful and relaxed. Meet Janie. She enjoys her toys, but is just as happy napping the day away. When it's mealtime, she will happily weave around your legs, purring softly, perfects her cutest feed me routine. She's looking for a calm, quiet home. She does well with other cats as long as she's in charge. To meet Janie, please fill out an application on the Cat Angels website.
Drought concerns coming up this afternoon at 4. All 100 of North Carolina's counties are seeing little rain. We'll talk about why experts warn the conditions could strain water supplies and increase wildfire risk.
NBC News Daily is next on WRAL. Your next local news update in 30 minutes.
Stay updated with the WRAL News app. Have a blessed day.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.